How are you? Welcome to this week's episode of Elevate Your Business. I'm Joanna Halloran. I am a business success coach for female entrepreneurs, particularly service providers who want to grow their business in the online space. So they want to generate consistent revenue and consistent income. And I firmly believe that you've got to set out the business foundations first and understand the flow in which your business operates for you to have long term success and not a short term win and then you're in pain, which is what we're going to talk about today. Um, a lot of people focus on sales in their business, and obviously we need sales and obviously we need revenue in order to be able to be sustainable. But when that is your sole focus and you don't focus on anything else, and your entire business is set up to go get sales, get sales, get sales, and that's all you're focused on, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. I've had 4 separate conversations this week alone on this exact topic, and the same thing is coming out. Is this significant to this week? No. No. This is what is happening every week, every single solitary week. There is an epidemic of when new entrepreneurs start that they follow the same method, which is incredible to me because there is a much easier way for you to build your business, but you've got to get out of your way to do it. So let's break it down. Sales are important. We know that, right? We're not going to shy away from that. That is not going to be the topic of this. Sales are important. But how do you get to a point where you have consistent sales? There's particular things that you're doing that are not generating the sales that you want. And strategies work, right? Every single solid strategy will work, but it's how you apply it and what your thought process is around it and what your intention is that matters. So let me give you an example. My favorite one, as in like a topic that drives me bananas, but it is everywhere, is the DM strategy. How many people here have received those DMs where you're like, are you freaking kidding me? You literally sent me a friend request, or the only message I've ever received from you is to try and sell me something. I don't know who you are. I know nothing about you. And that is the only interaction you want with me. Absolutely not. No. Not only do you not want to read the message, you instantly want to delete the person and block, right? Because it's spamming. There's only one agenda, and that is to make a sale. That is what gives sales a really, really bad name. Now, does that mean DM strategies don't work? No, it doesn't. No, it does not. But this is where it comes down to what is your approach and what is your intention with your strategy. If your strategy is a DM strategy, amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. They're proven to work. How are they proven to work? Because they're focused on relationship building. They're not focused on getting. What can I get from you? And if I don't get it, I'm going to keep forcing it with you. But they're focused on getting to know you, building up the relationship, really understanding you, and not making it about me as the person sending the DM, but making it about you as the person receiving the DM. So when you flip your approach and are very clear on what your intention is, it creates a different dynamic, it creates a different atmosphere, and it will determine how well you're received. If you go straight in for a sale, you're not going to get one, which means that you're either going to have you might have 1 or 2 people that bite for sure, and you might be like, okay, great, now I'm making sales, this is working, I'll keep it going. But it's not, because if there's no consistency with it, and if you're getting more rejections than you are making sales, that's feedback. And you've got to be very clear on what your approach and what your intention is. So for no matter what strategy that you're using, if right now you are not getting sales, ask yourself, what is my approach? What is my intention? Is my intention to just make sales? Or is my intention to actually care about the person that's on the other end, build a relationship with them, get to know them, make it all about them, and understand what support they need, whether I can give it to them or not? I'm going to say that again. What support do they need, whether I can give it to them or not? Why am I saying that? Because you've got to make it about the person who is on the receiving end. It is not about you. It is not about you. Any sales that feel like yucky, they feel uncomfortable, they're people that we just want to run away from, is because their only agenda is a sale. They couldn't care less about us. And if they could, it is not coming across. So if you're not making sales, I can't stress this enough. check out your approach and check out your intention. Every strategy works. I want to say this again. Every strategy works. But what is your approach and your intention? That matters. So let's go back to the conversation I was telling you I was having this week around people just focusing on sales and not making consistent sales. Where's the problem? Every single person that I've spoken to has absolutely no audience to sell to. So they're pushing sales, they're trying to force sales, but who are they actually selling it to? Nobody. Nobody. Why? Think about it. Anytime anyone sets up a business, right? Whether you have done a coaching program, whether you have done an online program, if you've done any of the business programs from any of the enterprise boards or community centers, they talk to you about marketing, but they don't actually talk to you about lead generation. So they'll talk to you about marketing and then they go straight into sales. But lead generation is necessary. And there's a whole funnel that needs to go with this. And you want to be spending a good 4 months plus solely on building your audience. Solely. If that does not form part of your strategy, you are setting yourself up to lose. You're setting yourself up to lose because you're going to run, the funnel is going to run out. The funnel's like this. Your sales are down here, right? So you've got to fill it. Because everybody buys at a different pace, right? So there's 4 different buyer types, which I've talked about before and I'll talk about again. I'm not going to focus on it today, but there's 4 different buyer types. Not everybody is going to buy instantly. So your funnel out the other end becomes a lot shorter and smaller because everybody buys at a different pace. If everybody bought at the same pace, great, it'd be like this, right? But they don't. It's like this. So you've got to constantly feed the funnel because the drip out of it is going to be a lot less than what you put in. 5% of your engaged email list is ready to buy from you when you put the right offer in front of them. So if you don't have an email list right now, sales are going to be tricky. If you have an email list of, let's say, 300 people, but you've ignored them, or, your open rate is maybe at 10%, you have 10% of like whatever that 10% is. So that'd be 40 people, right? If you've got 300, that's 30 people. So 5% of them are ready to buy. It's 1.5 people, right? Is that right in my maths? 1.5 people. So it's very small. So you can see that this is why it's important that you focus on your audience building, nurturing them and getting to know them. But people don't want to do that. Why? Because we want results right now. Every entrepreneur is the same, right? We want the results right now. We want the sales now. But yet we'll be 6 months, 9 months, a year into our business, still have the same issue that we're not generating sales, we're not having the revenue that we want, but yet we still insist on not focusing on our lead generation, on our audience building, and bringing in new people, right? We just keep focusing on sales and then we get frustrated as to why it doesn't work. So let's strip it back. What is it that you get to focus on so that you can have consistent sales? Because business doesn't need to be hard, but we make it really hard because we refuse to actually stop and go, this is my focus now. 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 So go back to the beginning. First thing you've got to do is, do you know who it is that you're targeting? If anybody comments on this video and says, I'm targeting everybody, no, stop it now. Stop it now. You cannot target everybody. And I say that because from a messaging point of view, right, how the experience of a 20-year-old is going to be very different to the experience of a 40-year-old, because life things have happened in between. There will be experiences that have taken place that a 20-year-old may not have had that a 40-year-old will have, and what they want from life will look very different, right? So you've got to be very clear on who it is that you're targeting. So if you don't know who that is right now, that's where you start. Then from there, you go in and you build your audience of ideal clients. Where do they hang out? What do they want to hear? What do they need to hear? What is it that they need support with? How do you figure that out? You ask them. You find at least 20 people that you can talk to that fit into your ideal client bracket and talk to them about all these things. That gives you your content. And from there, you can then build your audience. Like I said, there are multiple ways to build your audience. Multiple. How I teach it, because it worked so incredibly well for my business, is through collaborations. That is how I do it. I love virtual events. They are incredible for lead generation. through collaborations. So that is what I teach. If the DM strategy is what you want to use, great, use that. But what's your intention? Always focus on what your intention is. It's always about giving, it's always about building the relationship. So you go from ideal client, figure out what they need by asking them, don't make any assumptions. Then move them into audience build. From there, so this is the order in which you do it. From there, then what you do is you still get to understand them even more, because now they're the people that you actually want as your that are there as your ideal clients are going to start talking to you. What is it that they need? Get to know them even better and create your content around that. Nurture them, love on them, let them know how amazing they are, and encourage them to continue to share with you, provide value to them, and then bring them into a sales flow. Like, have you ever gone into a supermarket or like a high-end, well, probably not so much high-end retailers. Well, we say a high-end retailer because I know years ago they did this. And somebody would be straight up in your face trying to sell you something. And all you want to do is turn around and walk out the shop door. Whereas if you were able to browse for a while, have time to consider what's there, try on a couple of things, and then somebody comes up to help you, you're more open to it, right? So you have to think about your business in the same way. How do you like to be sold to? Because how we buy is how we sell. Remember, there's 4 different types of buyers. You have got to be amenable to all 4 types of buyers. That has nothing got to do with your ideal client. That's got to do with personality styles. There's 4 different types of buyers, and you've got to lean into them and support them where they're at, because there's different styles. So let me go back and go through this again. Know who your ideal client is. Map it out. Go through it in detail. Get very clear on who they are. Talk to 20 people that fit into that bracket. Then focus on building your audience around that through whatever strategy you choose. They all work, but it's got to do with your approach and intention. Your intention better be around relationship building, or you're going to struggle. Then nurture them, love on them, get to know them, like really, really get to know them, and then go into a sales sequence. You will have a higher volume of people to sell to, and you will have a higher volume of sales when you follow that flow. If your only focus is on sales, you are going to struggle. And I mean, you're going to struggle. If you choose to be, and I'm going to say this, be stubborn about this, accept the fact that you're going to struggle. Unless you're going to inject money into Facebook ads and just accept the fact that you're going to have cold leads, and it's going to take you a hell of a lot of time to actually warm them up to get them to buy. Okay, that can be your strategy too. Like I said, every strategy works, but it's what your approach and intention is with this. It's the same that if you're a coach or a consultant and you have built out your program, but you have not done these steps that I've talked about, you're going to struggle to sell it. I've had this conversation with multiple coaches, and they insist on sticking to the fact that they have their program built and they've just got to get people into it. But you're not going to get people into it because you haven't bothered to get to know who it is that actually needs support with your program. So you've got to figure out who it is that you're supporting, what they need, and then nurture on them, and then bring them into a sales cycle, not the other way around. Promise you, not the other way around. If you insist on being stubborn about this, you are going to continue to struggle with sales. If it's not working for you right now, stop and take a breath and go, okay, what is it that I really want here? Do I want a long-term business, one that is sustainable, that I can grow and that I can scale? If your answer is yes, which most of us want, right? Follow this model. I never stop getting clear on who my ideal client is, because as I grow and evolve, my client grows and evolves, right? So I have different levels in my business, I have different programs in my business. Why do I have that? Because I've learned the different types of clients that I have. But you've got to start with understanding who they are, what do they need, and then how on earth do you service them. So follow this model, do this step by step. If sales has been your entire focus for the last while and you do not have an audience, and when I say audience, I mean an email list, I don't mean social media. If you don't have an email list, that's got to be where your focus is. Build up your email list so that you have a warm audience to nurture and to love on, and then you can sell to them. Watch the difference it makes in your business. Comment below and let me know what your takeaways are from this.